What's that one tip that you think you would give to MSPs going into 2023?
That's a really good question. I would say find your vertical and stay in your vertical. I think when I look at the MSPs that are successful, right? They know exactly what they are, and more importantly, they know what they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think about a partner that we work with in Texas, and they have a sales rep who just sells managed IT to dentists. She doesn't talk to lawyers, she doesn't talk to manufacturers, she works with dentists. But when she goes in to find, to do some prospecting, she understands the IT challenges of dental practices better than most dental practice office managers. And so when you can go in and you know more about the client and their problems than they do, then you're not seen as a salesperson, you're seen as a value add, a resource to help their business. And it's really hard because as salespeople, right, we just want to say yes to everything
Right.
that walks and can pay us money. But not all revenue opportunities are created equal. And so you need to find where you're successful and then really just drill deeper into that vertical.
That's such a good tip. Not all revenue is good revenue,
No.
right? Yeah, you and I have both seen that firsthand. The vertical tip is such a good one, Zach, because to your point, you get distracted very easily with that shiny object, whatever that may be. And when you can talk the talk, when you can have that conversation, it feels like a partnership,
Mhm.
right? You're going in there talking about how you can fix this type of thing with other types of businesses that are that size or that shape, and that's a much easier conversation to have.
It's going back to the optimism
Yeah.
piece again. Some people will call me the sales golden retriever, or just the golden retriever in general. And so when you have somebody like that who is just excited to go out and grow the top line of the business, you need somebody, I call my sales engineer my technical adult in the room. And the two questions that he always asks that help keep us on track are, you know, just because we can do this, we need to ask ourselves, should we do this? Knowing that not all revenue opportunities are created equally. And the other question he asks of me a lot is, what does success look like here? And if I can't give him a good answer, it takes a little while to come to the realization that maybe this isn't the right fit, but having somebody to help keep you on track will significantly reduce the number of growing pains, because when you sign a contract for 3 years with somebody that is from day one not a good fit, it's going to be a long 36 months.
Wow, such good advice there. All right, let's change gears for a second. I'm sure you talk to your partners about cloud a lot. And our marquee, our keynote, our tagline here is own the cloud. So why is right now the perfect time to own the cloud, Zach?
Because COVID blew on premises up. Nobody's there. And so you think about it, I think the way I would describe it is COVID was an accelerator, and all of these changes, the adoption of the cloud was coming, but COVID poured gas on the fire, right? And so all of these organizations that, if we don't have COVID, if we're in an alternate reality, would have ended up in the cloud in 2030, now have 60% of their workforce working from home on any given day, and they're trying to use the VPN, and they don't know how to use MFA for the VPN. And so it's just, the solution is there. It's the natural progression of where things are going. But if you can, again, going back to the knowing more about your clients' problems than they do, if you can be seen as somebody who, it's not, I'm here to sell you the cloud because that's the soup du jour, but it's, this is how it is going to help your business, I think that's where you have a great opportunity to be proactive and lead from the front and add value to your customers.
That's great. So let's turn the page here to something that you and I are both passionate about, co-managed services. So how do MSPs, or how can MSPs grow their business using co-managed service in 2023, really grow their revenue?
I mean, the way I look at it, right, is for the past 10 years, or if we rewind 10 years, let me rephrase that. When we think about managed IT, you had an on-premise server, you had 20 workstations, you throw in a firewall, you back that server up, let's get them some email licenses with an Exchange server, and you're good to go. And organizations didn't necessarily need a full-time IT staff to support them. Fast forward to 2023, we talk about the cloud. Everything is in the cloud now.
Right.
They, instead of 3 line of business applications, they're running 50, and they're all in the cloud, and they're all complex. And so when I look at the challenges that MSPs have, and I think one of the biggest ones is finding and retaining talent, the co-managed approach opens the door for mid-market and enterprise organizations that are facing that very same challenge, where they may be able to keep the high-level engineers that are familiar with their proprietary softwares or their line of business applications, but they're struggling to keep the 24-year-old tier one help desk technician. And so they're not necessarily looking for somebody to manage the firewalls and do the patching and do the backups. They're just looking for somebody to supplement their team. And so that's where MSPs have a great opportunity to broaden the pool of prospective companies they can work with, right? Because it's no longer, this is our box and you need to adopt our box or you're not a good fit. It's, these are the different tools in our toolbox. What issues do you have? And this is where you have to be really careful, because if somebody comes to you and says, hey, we have 1,000 users, I can't staff my help desk. Can you just do the help desk? And we'll do everything else.
Right.
And if you can't keep your help desk staffed and you aren't set up for success, again, that's where the sales golden retriever can get in trouble, because he's like, yes, shiny object revenue. But if you say, you know what, I really have my help desk processes dialed in, I'm big on documentation, I feel very comfortable that I would be able to support the help desk, and I understand that these are the issues we're going to escalate to your team, these are the issues we're responsible for. It just, the economies of scale are so much bigger when you start looking at these opportunities, and it really allows you to leverage existing skill sets, but in a new way that broadens the potential for your MSP and the number of clients you could engage with that you just couldn't before.
Yeah, that's so good. I've seen MSPs that have said, I want to grow, but this isn't working or that isn't working, and I've always said, well, what do you do really well? And they've said, well, we're really good at patch. I've said, well, go sell patch to somebody. What? Like, no, they don't want that. People hate doing patch. Go sell patch. Be really good at it. Be the best MSP at doing patch, and take that off of an internal IT team's hands. Or security, if you've built that practice out. I know MSPs that are really, really good on the security side. Sell that piece of it. Sell that end user security or some management of a security product, and that's worked out really well. So really, really good advice on that. Yeah.
Let's dig into patch because I have a story that I think pertains to this, and it's a partner, and I will name redacted to protect the guilty, but their VCIO, right, their main technical resource for their clients, was also responsible for patching their internal environment. Spoiler alert, there's only 40 to 60 to 70 hours in a week. And if you are constantly trying to determine, do I patch my internal environment or do I do something that is revenue generating for the business, that's not a hard decision, because let's be honest, patching isn't something that's super visible until something blows up. And something blew up and they got hit with ransomware, a vulnerability was exploited. And that's where a lot of these organizations, especially with internal IT, if it's a 1-2 person internal IT shop, the stuff that is not fun, nobody wakes up in the morning. I shouldn't say nobody, but very few people wake up and say, I can't wait to roll out a whole bunch of patches today. So that's the stuff that falls to the bottom of the to-do list and lives there for weeks. And so if you can say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. IT resource, I want you to focus on this new deployment of HR software that your organization is excited about, and let me worry about the Microsoft patches. That's where you can add so much value, and it's no longer this third-party IT company is coming in and is a threat to my job because they want to replace me. It's, no, I'm really good at the stuff you don't like to do, so let me take it off of your plate. There is enough work in IT to go around for everybody. So it's just filling in the gaps in their internal environments.
And just like you said, staffing. There's one thing that staff challenge you're having, that person that left, they don't have to worry about that anymore. Don't give that to the MSP, let them handle that team that you still have left, let them focus on the things that are a bit more business critical to your business. That's great, Zach. Well, this was a lot of fun. Really a pleasure having you. I thank you a lot, and
Absolutely.
And have a lot of fun here at Empower.
Oh, I will. I appreciate it.
All right.